Hey guys, it's Thomas, and in today's video, I'm going to be walking you through the lessons, challenges, the whole journey that I've gone through building a software for one of our partner businesses that's doing $3 million a year. Now, I'm not going to be walking you through like how I actually coded it. I might do another video on that another time because the actual coding, I don't believe, is the most important part. What I think the most important part is actually marketing and selling a product that's going to bring in revenue. Number one thing that I would attribute bringing in revenue to is intellectual property. What actually differentiates you or your product in your market, in your niche? Why would someone go with you over your competitor? And I believe that intellectual property is the thing that elevates your brand, elevates everything about you or your company that ultimately drives more revenue. And I think software is a great vehicle for that because not many people actually have custom software to be able to show to their clients. And if you've never seen my face before, I'm Thomas Ografakis. I run a client acquisition agency for online service-based / product-based businesses that sell something over 2.5K, usually in the high ticket space. We work with clients who are doing anywhere from as low as 10K a month and partner with businesses who are doing 100K, 200K, 300K. We've got clients doing $1 million every single month. So let's get into my 5 lessons that I've learned building software for a $3 million a year business. Lesson number 1 is shipping takes way longer than you think, even with AI tools. So when I first started the project, I thought that because of the power of AI, because of the tools that we have access to now, that it was gonna be a lot quicker than it actually was. It actually ended up taking, I believe, just under 5 months to get to the stage that it's at now, where it's production ready, but there's a lot of things I still want to improve and add on to. Using AI tools, like, you have to think about it like this. If you don't have the idea, if you don't have the structure, if you don't have that already, the AI tools aren't going to help you with that. They can't help you. They're not capable of coming up with unique ideas, how the product's going to work in the market, how it's going to be sold. It's not good at that. So you really need to be solidified on that, of instead of paying 50 or 100K to go get the software developed, you can use the tools to go ahead and do that yourself and use the tools as the development team. So the time that it took was definitely a lot longer than I thought that it would take. And I think another lesson from that as well is that software is there's an ongoing nature to software. It's not like build it and then it's done. There's always maintenance, there's always security updates, there's always new features being added, things that need to be changed for the client. That's always going to be the case, and you need to be prepared and ready to start implementing and working on that to keep giving the client a good experience. Lesson number 2 is if you don't map out everything first, you're going to end up building it 3 times. So that's talking from personal experience, which is I actually ended up building one feature within the software 3 times, this lockout feature. So the way that the software works is that, so we've integrated with Stripe API. When someone pays through the payment link, if they go through like a payment plan, they make the second payment. What ends up happening is, so they pay the first payment, they get access. If they don't make that second payment, instantly get locked out. I built that feature quite early on. I didn't map out all the other components, all the other navigation, all the other pages, everything else that I want within the software. And I ended up having to build it 3 times. You need a component that basically covers each page when a payment's failed. What would happen is every page I'd add, I had to then go ahead and recreate that lockout system. That was a specific case in my scenario. It might be something different for you. But before you go ahead and start building software, have a clear plan first. Know what features you're gonna have to a T, like 95% complete. Leave 5% room for ideation as you're building. If you're someone who thinks on the spot or is creative or is good at problem solving or good at pattern recognition, things like that, which I think are very important skills for building software, you need to have the plan in place, at least 95% of it. So when you have 95%, you're building, it's structured, you know what steps you need to take in order to get to the final product. Otherwise, you're going to be left with code that's unused, just crap everywhere. Always plan it, everything down to a T before you start building. Lesson number 3 is your clients don't want complex, they want clear. There is a big difference between your imagination as the developer, the architect, whatever you want to call yourself. There's a big difference between you, the architect, your ideas, what you think is good, what you think is creative, interesting, and what your avatar actually wants. If you start building out these, like this, from personal experience with this specific software, I built and had ideas for features that the client ended up not even wanting or even being relevant. It was way too complex for what the client actually needed. And I found out that the avatar doesn't actually want or need those features in order to get the outcome. Don't build in features just for the sake of making it cool or making it more complex than it needs to be. Find the features that are needed to get the outcome and always focus on simplicity and just getting the outcome. It's like, for example, Uber, right? Uber, the concept of paying someone to drive you somewhere has been around for a long time. You've got taxis. All Uber did was take what is already existing and working and then use it in a modern landscape. And that made them a lot of money. It's solving for time, efficiency, and even creating jobs. And that's what makes Uber so successful and make a lot of money. It's not because they made some crazy cool complex idea, crazy dashboards and the way it looks. It's actually quite simple looking, just from taking a simple problem and giving a simple solution. So always keep that in mind when building. Another example is Apple products, right? The Apple ecosystem. It's not about how complex they are as a company. They're actually quite simple, right? That's their selling point, is simplicity. And people pay a premium for simplicity and consistent design and experience. So I'm not personally an Apple product user, but I can see the appeal in it. It looks beautiful. They've got incredible design and UX team behind them. One of the biggest selling points as well is the ecosystem that you get into. And not only does that ecosystem provide value on the front end, it provides value on the back end for the company, because it actually almost not locks them in, but really solidifies their experience in the Apple ecosystem with iMessage, iCloud. There's a lot of those features that end up keeping the person a long time user and increasing lifetime value of the customer. So always keep these in mind when building software, because at the end of the day, it's not about the code, it's about selling and marketing and making revenue. It doesn't matter how cool of a product you've got, how complex, how amazing it is, if you're not making any money off it. Money is what drives innovation, what drives more creation, what ultimately motivates you to build and really create value in this world. Lesson number 4 is APIs aren't scary, they're necessary. So APIs aren't that difficult. I had the assumption that they were going to be hard, that they were going to be more complex to implement. I'll give you a specific example. I integrated Xero and OpenAI for one specific use case of this software, which was a business health report. So what it would allow the user to do is click a button, connect to Xero, it took their profit and loss statements, and then takes that data using the metrics that we have for the industry, because it's for like a coaching business in a specific niche, that we say is a good metric, and then puts that into AI, and it comes up with basically like an executive decision of what needs to change in order to get to 100 out of 100 score. So it scores them out of 100 compared to their competitors, and then gives them a reason why they didn't get 100 and what they need to actually improve on based on our metrics and KPIs. That automatically gets from Xero. So think about it. Imagine instead of having everyone input their data manually, you're able to get it automatically with an API. Efficiency, usability, easy, makes people actually want to use it. And then giving them a summary with AI based on our KPIs and metrics, the usability and use case just goes up, increases value. Really the lesson from that is, when you're mapping out the software that you're building, don't be afraid of APIs, don't be afraid of webhooks, don't be afraid of these things that bring in external applications into yours. They're probably going to be necessary to fit within your ecosystem. And if you skip that, then you're going to miss out on a lot of features and a lot of a broader market who want that integration. Lesson number 5, and this is the last lesson, probably arguably the most important lesson. The code doesn't matter if you can't sell it. So I used to believe that software had a high barrier to entry. You need to have the skill set of coding, you have the skill set of ideation and building, but the reality is now with AI tools, you're able to vibe code something pretty complex. If you've got the problem solving and the pattern recognition skills to do so, you can create pretty much any software at this stage in the time, and it's only going to get easier for people. So what's going to end up happening is it's not going to be about who can make the coolest software, the most complex software, because complex software is going to be easy to make. It's going to be about the branding, the market. Who's better at marketing? Who's better at building an audience, a community? Who's better at sales? That is the number one differentiator between products. There are specific cases where the product sells itself and it's just so needed in a market that it sells itself. But I think with AI increasing and the barrier to entry dropping in software, it's no longer going to be about who has the cooler software. It's going to be about who has the bigger brand, who has the bigger name, who has the better ecosystem, so to say, like Apple. And really don't be so stuck on the coding of it. That's the easy part. If you really have to, if you can't work it out, go pay 50 or 100 grand to go get someone else to code, or bring in a team to bring your idea to life. Because ultimately, if it solves a problem in the market and you're good at marketing and sales, then it's going to bring you that revenue back in 10x multiple. So really the lesson is, don't stress about the code, have a consistent plan, know who you're marketing to, who you're selling to, and then start building. ultimately software is what I believe is the ultimate form of leverage. Because like traditional business, you have to pay staff. That instantly drops margin, just shaves it off the top. For us, when we bring on sales teams, like the sales reps instantly drop our profit margins because of the nature of using human capital. They have to be paid. They're other humans, but when you're using technology as leverage, the scale of when you increase revenue, yes, the pricing or the infrastructure has to scale with that, but the gap is far greater. You can make far greater margins than with bringing on a team. With a team, you don't really build a gap. It kind of stays the same or even gets smaller. Software increases revenue, builds a greater gap. So that's the beauty of software and using technology as leverage, is you can make way more profit than you were to if you have to bring on team members. Ultimately, to finish the last lesson off and end this video, too many people focus on building first and selling later. You need to focus on sales and marketing first and then build later. Build the product that solves the problem in your market, and you're gonna have no issues making money and scaling.